Breaking news that could affect your rights. You might lose your U.S. citizenship without ever stepping foot in a courtroom. It's a shocking reality that's becoming more and more possible due to new legal changes. This isn't a hypothetical, it's happening right now, and it could happen to you. Recent updates to U.S. laws have paved the way for citizenship revocation without the due process you'd expect from a trial. That means, without warning, your citizenship could be stripped away, and you may never even have the chance to defend yourself in court. What exactly is going on here? How can this happen? And who is at risk? We'll break down the details, explaining how these legal shifts are impacting U.S. citizens and why it's more important than ever to stay informed about your rights. In this video, we'll reveal everything you need to know about the process, how it's changing, and what you can do to protect yourself. This is a crucial issue that could have a serious impact on your future, and knowing the facts could save you from a devastating situation. Stay with us as we uncover the truth behind this alarming change, and be sure to hit that like button and subscribe. You don't want to miss this vital information. We've just outlined the alarming reality. It's possible to lose your U.S. citizenship without a trial. But how exactly did we get here? What's behind this sudden shift in policy that could affect so many citizens? The change didn't happen overnight. This is the result of years of legal reform and policy changes. These shifts in the law, while not widely known or understood, are paving the way for the government to revoke citizenship without a traditional legal proceeding. This is a monumental change that could potentially leave thousands of people in a vulnerable position. Historically, losing U.S. citizenship was not something that could happen easily. It was a complex legal process that required either a formal act of renunciation or proof of serious criminal activity. However, recent developments in the law have introduced a system where individuals could lose their citizenship due to factors like alleged ties to certain organizations or behavior deemed detrimental to the country. Now, under these new changes, it's possible for the government to revoke citizenship without providing the individual with a chance to stand trial and defend themselves. This has raised alarm among legal experts and citizens alike, especially those who may not be aware of how vulnerable they have become under these new rules. At the heart of this change is a shift in how the government views citizenship revocation. In the past, revocation could only happen through a long legal process where the government would need to prove its case in a court of law. If you were accused of something that could result in losing your citizenship, you would have the right to a trial, legal representation, and the ability to appeal the decision. This safeguard ensured that citizens had a fair chance to defend themselves. However, these new regulations bypass this legal right. The government now has more power to revoke citizenship without going through the standard judicial process, making it more difficult for individuals to protect their rights. One of the major factors contributing to this shift is the increasing focus on national security. The U.S. government has always placed national security at the forefront of its priorities, and in recent years, lawmakers have pushed for policies that give the state greater power to remove citizenship in cases where an individual is suspected of terrorism or supporting terrorist activities. In such cases, the government argues that revoking citizenship without trial could help eliminate security threats. While national security is a legitimate concern, the question remains whether this approach is fair or just. Should people's rights be stripped away without due process just because of a suspected association with organizations that the government deems a threat? These are important questions, and they highlight the potential dangers of this new direction. The impact of this change extends beyond those directly accused of illegal activity. Even individuals who have never been involved in criminal conduct could find themselves at risk. The law is vague enough that people who have unwittingly supported organizations or causes considered controversial could face revocation of their citizenship. For example, if an individual were to publicly support a foreign political group that is later labeled as a threat, their citizenship could be called into question. Even something as simple as attending a political rally or showing support for a certain cause could now be enough to flag someone for revocation of citizenship. For many, this shift in policy feels like a betrayal of the principles that the United States has long stood for. The foundation of American democracy rests on the notion that individuals have the right to a fair trial and that the government cannot simply take away someone's rights without offering them the chance to defend themselves. But with the recent changes, it seems that this basic right to a trial is being undermined. This is particularly concerning for naturalized citizens who may feel especially vulnerable to losing their citizenship as they may be more easily targeted by these new policies. It's also important to consider the broader implications of this shift. If the government can revoke citizenship without trial in certain cases, what's next? What other rights could be taken away from citizens in the name of national security or public order? The erosion of civil liberties is a slippery slope, and once one fundamental right is compromised, it becomes easier for the government to justify further restrictions on freedom. This is why it's so crucial for everyone, not just those at risk of losing their citizenship, to pay attention to these changes. The loss of citizenship could set a dangerous precedent for other forms of legal action that sidestep due process and constitutional rights. You may be asking yourself, how can this happen to me? The truth is, while the changes are intended to target individuals involved in illegal activities or national security threats, the policies are so broad and vaguely defined that they leave room for abuse. The government can now revoke citizenship based on actions, affiliations, or behaviors that may not even involve direct criminal conduct. For instance, it could be as simple as being involved in a political movement or expressing controversial opinions in public forums. The vagueness of these new laws makes it difficult for citizens to know what actions might put them at risk. Now, you may be wondering, what can I do to protect myself? The best way to safeguard your rights is to stay informed about these legal changes and how they might apply to you. Stay up to date with news about the latest laws and policy shifts. It's also essential to take proactive steps to protect your citizenship. If you feel like you could be at risk, or if you suspect that you might be flagged by the government for some reason, it's a good idea to consult with an immigration or constitutional lawyer. A legal expert can help you understand the nuances of these changes and give you advice on how to protect yourself. You can also take steps to avoid actions or associations that could potentially flag you as a risk. While no one can predict every possible outcome, it's essential to avoid activities that could be seen as suspicious or potentially tied to controversial organizations. If you are a naturalized citizen, it's especially important to understand the potential risks you face under the new policy. If you are a U.S.-born citizen, while the risk may be lower, you should still be aware of the changes in case they affect the rights of other citizens or your own family members. For those who are deeply concerned about the direction in which these policies are headed, advocacy and public awareness are critical. Many organizations are already working to challenge these changes in court, arguing that revoking citizenship without due process is unconstitutional. These legal battles are ongoing, and they will likely have a significant impact on how the law is applied in the future. By staying informed and supporting organizations that are fighting for civil liberties, you can play a part in pushing back against these dangerous trends. At the end of the day, it's crucial to understand that these changes are not just an isolated issue affecting a small group of people. They represent a broader shift in how the government views citizens and their rights. If the government can take away someone's citizenship without a trial, what else could be next? That's why it's so important for all citizens to be vigilant, stay informed, and take action to protect their rights. This is a critical time for everyone to be aware of how these changes could impact their lives, and for some, their very identity as American citizens. No one should ever feel that their citizenship is in jeopardy without the right to a fair trial, and we must continue to question and challenge policies that undermine the core principles of justice. So if you found this information helpful, make sure to hit that like button, share this video with your friends and family, and keep the conversation going. It's time to stand up for your rights and ensure that no one loses their citizenship without due process. Thank you for watching, and stay informed.